The first part in lesson planning is the learning objectives. Learning objectives are clear, specific statements that describe what learners should be able to do after completing a learning activity or course. We outline the intended learning outcomes and serve as a guide for instructional design, content development, and assessment. The importance of learning outcomes in planning a lesson is to define what learners are expected to achieve. Next, guides us in creating content that aligns with desired outcomes. Then, facilitates the development of assessments to measure the attainment of objectives. And it helps learners understand the purpose of the learning. And lastly, it enables educators to assess the effectiveness of the learning experience. We made our learning objectives in a smart way, which is specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. The intended learning outcomes has three domains, namely cognitive domain, psychomotor domain, and affective domain. So this is our intended learning outcomes in the topic of identifying the main idea and its supporting details. At the end of the lesson, the learners are expected to identify the main idea and its supporting details, which is the cognitive domain. Construct a simple paragraph composing the main idea and its supporting details, which is the psychomotor domain, and appreciate and actively participate in class, which is the affective domain. In essence, learning objectives are crucial for effective teaching and learning, providing a roadmap for both educators and learners.
Now, I am going to explain about the activity in the lesson plan. A term activity is more general and refers to any kind of purposeful classroom procedure that involves learner doing something that relates to the topic or goals of the lesson. For example, having singing a song, having a game, taking part in a debate, having a group discussion, and many more. It should build on previous activities and avoid repetitive. They should make students to engage with the lesson, to develop their skills, abilities, knowledge, and understanding in different ways. In our lesson plan, the activity that we have is the ABC game. The teacher will explain deeper the instruction, and it will be related to the topic that will be discussed.
After activity, we have a conceptualization. So what do you mean by a conceptualization? So a conceptualization is a process through which concepts are contextualized, meaning is thickened, and understanding is deepened. So in a lesson proper, before to start the discussion, there is analysis which we will ask questions to the pupils on what the topic we're going to discuss. So in a lesson plan that we created, the topic is identifying the main idea and its supporting details. So in this part, of course, you will give a concept or a meaning of the main idea and the supporting details. And for more understanding, we will provide an example of paragraph, which it has a main idea and supporting details. And we are throwing following questions like, what do you think the main idea of the paragraph, and what or where are the supporting details in the paragraph? And through these questions, pupils will truly understand what is the main idea and the supporting details.
Now, in the application part of lesson planning, as a teacher, you have to provide activities that help learners apply their learning to new situations or context beyond the lesson and connect it to their own. Of course, you have to choose activities that learners can relate to, and at the same time, most importantly, they will enjoy the activity that will be given. So in this part, you can also use some teaching strategies like the game-based learning, brainstorming, think, pair, share, and other strategies. But in our case, we use collaboration strategies where we group the students or the class into 3 groups, and each group will be given one different paragraph. Now we instruct them to copy the paragraph first in a one whole sheet of bond paper. Then after copying, they are going to encircle the main idea and underline the supporting details, because our topic is all about identifying the main idea and the supporting details. So after that, lastly, they are going to choose one member or one representative each group to present their answer in front of the class and explain why that is their answer. Next is the assessment. An assessment is very important in lesson planning and in teaching learning process. An assessment is a test for understanding. When the lesson is over, of course, you as an educator needs to give an assessment to your students to assess their learning and tell if your learning objectives was successful or not. This also provides your students an opportunity to show how much of the lesson they have absorbed, and of course to see if you are going to reteach the lesson. We have to remember that in making an assessment, it should be derived from your learning objectives. Most importantly, the cognitive and psychomotor objectives. So in our assessment 1, this will be derived, our assessment 1 derived from our first learning objectives, cognitive, which is to identify the main idea and its supporting details. So now the students are going to copy the paragraphs in their paper. Then they will identify the main idea of the paragraph through encircling it and underline its supporting details. Next is in our assessment 2. So in our assessment 2, that was jive in our next learning objectives, or the second learning objectives, which is to construct a simple paragraph composing the main idea and its supporting details, so psychomotor. Now, the students are going to construct a simple paragraph composing the main idea and its supporting details. So the topic that was given is the daily routines that they do before going to school. So this will be very easy to construct a simple paragraph because they will be a guide that was shown in the screen, where some daily routines or pictures will be shown here on the screen.
The last part in lesson planning is the assignment. In a lesson plan, an assignment refers to a task or activity that students are expected to complete as part of the learning process. Here is an elaboration on the assignment component within a lesson plan. We have first, purpose, second, instruction, then differentiation and feedback, and also integration. By incorporating these elements, the assignment in a lesson plan becomes a well-defined and integral part of the learning experience, contributing to the overall effectiveness of the instructional process. Additionally, assignments play a crucial role in the teaching process and are important to learners for several reasons. And these are application of knowledge, critical thinking, skill development, assessment of understanding, self-directed learning, feedback and improvement, communication skills, retention of information, and motivation. Moreover, assignments serves as a dynamic tool for learning, encompassing various educational benefits that contribute to the holistic development of learners.